The Galactic Council had a saying. It was an old saying. A wise saying. A saying that had been proven true for millions of years. A species without a plan is a species that will not survive. Every successful species had strategies. Backup plans. Contingencies. The Kritha had battle strategies. They planned every movement. Every attack. Every defense. Their plans were perfect. Their execution was flawless. They had never lost a war. The Xylos had research strategies. They planned every experiment. Every analysis. Every discovery. Their plans were thorough. Their methods were precise. They had never been wrong. The Vel had patient strategies. They planned every wait. Every delay. Every observation. Their plans were long. Their patience was infinite. They had never been surprised. The Orathai had adaptation strategies. They planned every change. Every shift. Every transformation. Their plans were flexible. Their adaptations were seamless. They had never been broken. The Council studied humans. They expected to find similar strategies. Grand plans. Detailed protocols. Backup contingencies. They found nothing. No grand strategy. No 5U plans. No detailed protocols. No backup contingencies. The humans seemed to make decisions randomly. Spontaneously. Without apparent reason. The Council was confused. They sent their best scientists. They ran their best analyses. They used their best computers. The results were the same. Humans had no plan. But they were thriving. Their planet was healthy. Their population was growing. Their technology was advancing. Their art was beautiful. Their children were happy. They were thriving without a plan. The Council could not understand it. What are they doing? The scientists asked. They watched humans make decisions. A human woman decided to change careers. Not because she had analyzed the market. Not because she had calculated the risks. Because she had a feeling. A gut instinct. A sense that it was time for something new. She has no plan, the scientists said. She will fail. She did not fail. They watched a human man decide to move to a new city. Not because he had researched the opportunities. Not because he had secured a job. Because he had a vibe. A sense that he belonged somewhere else. He has no backup, the scientists said. He will regret it. He did not regret it. They watched a human family decide to adopt a child. Not because they had planned for years. Not because they had prepared financially. Because they felt it was right. Because their hearts told them to. They have no contingency, the scientists said. This will end badly. It did not end badly. The Council demanded an explanation. They called a human to speak before them. Her name was Maya. She was young. Her eyes were bright. Her voice was calm. What are you doing? The Council asked. How are you thriving without a plan? Without strategies? Without backups? Without contingencies? Every other species needs these things. Why do you not? Maya thought for a moment. She had never thought about it before. She just lived. She just made decisions. She just followed her feelings. We have something, she said. We call it vibes. The Council was confused. Vibes? What is a vibe? Maya tried to explain. It is a feeling. A gut instinct. A sense that something is right or wrong. It is not logical. It is not strategic. It is not planned. It is just a knowing. Inside. Deep inside. We learn to trust it. The Council laughed. You cannot run a species on feelings. You cannot make decisions based on instincts. You need data, analysis, strategy, plans. Feelings are unreliable. Instincts are unpredictable. Vibes are not science. Maya did not argue. She just smiled. Maybe, she said. But we are still here. We are still thriving. Our planet is healthy. Your planets are cold. Your people are lonely. Your children do not laugh. Maybe your plans are missing something. Maybe you need vibes. The Council was silent. They had never considered that their plans might be missing something. That their strategies might be incomplete. That their backups might be insufficient. That they might need something else. Something they did not have. Something humans did. Something called vibes. We do not understand, the Council President said. How do vibes work? How do you know which feeling to trust? How do you tell the difference between a good vibe and a bad vibe? How do you learn to follow your gut? Maya thought for a moment. She remembered her grandmother. Her grandmother had always trusted her vibes. She had always followed her gut. She had always been right. You learn by living, Maya said. You make mistakes. You trust the wrong feeling. You regret it. You learn. You try again. You get better. It is not perfect. It is not precise. It is not logical. But it works. Over time, you learn to listen. You learn to trust. You learn to feel. The council was silent. They had spent millions of years perfecting plans, strategies, backups, contingencies. They had never spent any time learning to feel, to trust, to vibe. Can we learn? The council president asked. Maya smiled. Everyone can learn. It is not easy. It is not fast. It takes practice. It takes patience. It takes trust. But you can learn. You start small. You listen to your gut about small things. What to eat. Where to go. Who to talk to. You notice how it feels. You notice what happens. You learn. You grow. You start to trust. The council president nodded. We will try. Maya stood up. One more thing, she said. Vibes are not a replacement for plans. They are a complement. Use both. Plan. Strategy. Backup. Contingency. But also listen. Also feel. Also trust. That is the human way. That is how we thrive. That is how we survive. That is how we live. She left. The council was silent. They had learned something new. Something their computers could not tell them. And the galaxy would never be the same. It was the beginning of something new. Something strange. Something human. Something that felt right. Something that was right. Something that worked. Something called vibes. And the galaxy was just beginning to learn what vibes were. It would take time. But they would learn. They would grow. They would trust. They would vibe. And that, the council finally understood, was the most important plan of all. The plan to feel. The plan to trust. The plan to be human. And that was enough. That was everything. That was the beginning. The council decided to test humans. They wanted to understand this thing called vibes. They wanted to see if it was real or just luck. So they created a test. A complex problem. A disaster that required precise coordination. Many lives were at risk. The council invited teams from 5 species. Kritha, Xylos, Vel, Orithai, human. Each team would try to save the victims. The council would observe. The council would analyze. The council would learn. The Kritha team had a perfect plan. Step by step, minute by minute. They had studied the disaster. They had calculated the risks. They had prepared for every possibility. Their plan was beautiful, efficient, logical. They began to execute. Every movement was precise. Every action was coordinated. They saved many victims. But they were slow. Their plan did not account for every variable. Something unexpected happened. The Kritha team could not adapt. Their plan was perfect. But reality was not. The Xylos team had analyzed every variable. They had run thousands of simulations. They knew the probability of every outcome. They had a strategy for every scenario. They began to execute. Every decision was optimal. Every action was calculated. They saved many victims. But they were cautious. Their analysis told them to wait. To observe. To confirm. While they waited, victims died. Their analysis was perfect. But time was not. The Vel team had waited for the perfect moment. They had patience. Infinite patience. They watched the disaster unfold. They studied the patterns. They looked for the right moment to act. They waited. And waited. And waited. The perfect moment never came. While they waited, victims died. Their patience was perfect. But the disaster was not. The Orithai team had prepared multiple adaptations. They had plans within plans. Contingencies within contingencies. They could adapt to anything. They began to execute. They changed their approach as new information came. They adapted. And adapted. And adapted. They saved many victims. But they were inconsistent. Their adaptations often contradicted each other. They wasted time. Their flexibility was perfect. But focus was not. The human team had nothing. No plan. No analysis. No waiting. No adaptations. Just a feeling. The council watched. They were confused. What are they doing? Asked a scientist. Nothing, said another. They have no plan. The humans stood together. They looked at the disaster. They looked at each other. We should go left, said one human. No, right, said another. Let's split up, said a third. The council laughed. This is chaos. They have no idea what they are doing. They will fail. The humans ignored the council. They went left. They went right. They split up. They had no plan. No analysis. No waiting. No adaptations. They just moved. They followed their feelings. Their guts. Their vibes. One human ran toward a collapsing building. She did not know why. It just felt right. She found a child trapped under rubble. She pulled the child to safety. Another human ran toward a flooded area. He did not know why. It just felt right. He found a family stranded on a roof. He helped them to high ground. Another human stayed in the center. She did not know why. It just felt right. She coordinated the others. She directed them where to go. She had no data, no analysis, no plan, just a feeling. She was right. How did you do that? The council asked. The humans shrugged. It felt right. The council demanded an explanation. They brought the human team before them. The team leader was a woman named Maya. She was young. Her eyes were bright. Her voice was calm. You had no plan, the council president said. No analysis. No strategy. No backup. No contingency. How did you succeed? Maya thought for a moment. She remembered the disaster, the chaos, the fear, the feeling. We trusted ourselves, she said. We listened to our guts. We followed our vibes. It is not something we can explain. It is something we feel. We have lived for thousands of years. We have evolved to sense danger, to sense opportunity, to sense what is right. Our brains process information faster than we know. Our guts remember what our minds forget. When we follow a vibe, we are following centuries of experience. It is not random. It is wisdom. Fast wisdom. But how did you coordinate? Asked the Kritha general. You had no communication. No signals. No orders. How did you know where to go? What to do? Maya smiled. We did not know. We just felt. The woman who ran to the building felt something pulling her. The man who ran to the water felt something guiding him. I stayed in the center because it felt like the right place to be. We did not plan. We did not coordinate. We just trusted. And we were right. That is not scientific. That is not logical. That is not repeatable. You cannot build a strategy on feelings. You cannot run a species on vibes. Maya nodded. You are right. It is not scientific. We are still thriving. Our children are still laughing. Your science is perfect. Your logic is flawless. Your plans are comprehensive. But you are not happy. Your children do not laugh. Maybe you need something else. Maybe you need to trust. Maybe you need to feel. Maybe you need vibes. The council was silent. They had no answer. They had seen the evidence. The humans had saved everyone. No plan. No analysis. No waiting. No adaptations. Just vibes. The council could not explain it. But they could not deny it. Vibes worked. And they had no idea why. But they wanted to learn. They wanted to understand. They wanted to trust. They wanted to feel. They wanted vibes. And that was the beginning. The beginning of something new. Something strange. Something human. Something that felt right. Something that was right. Something that worked. Something called vibes. And the galaxy was just beginning to learn what vibes were. It would take time. There would be mistakes. But they would learn. They would grow. They would trust. They would vibe. And that, the council finally understood, was the most important plan of all. The plan to feel. The plan to trust. The plan to be human. And that was enough. That was everything. That was the first test. And the humans had passed. Not with plans. With vibes. And the galaxy would never be the same. It was the beginning of a new way. The human way. The vibe way. The way that worked. The way that saved everyone. The way that felt right. And that was enough. That was everything. That was human. The Vorthan Empire attacked Earth. The Council predicted total destruction. The numbers were clear. The Vorthan had 10,000 ships. Earth had 200. The Vorthan had millions of soldiers. Earth had thousands. The Vorthan had perfect strategies. Detailed battle plans. Backup contingencies. Earth had nothing. No strategy. No backup. No plan. The Council advised Earth to surrender. You cannot win, they said. The Vorthan have never lost. Their plans are perfect. Their strategies are flawless. Their backups are comprehensive. You have nothing. You will be destroyed. Earth listened. Then Earth did something unexpected. They did not build weapons. They did not train soldiers. They did not prepare for war. They just did things. Some humans baked bread. Some offered tea. Some sang songs. Some cried. Some laughed. They followed their feelings. Their guts. Their vibes. The Vorthan fleet arrived. Thousands of ships darkened the sky. Millions of soldiers prepared for battle. The Vorthan commander was confident. He had studied human tactics. He had analyzed human weaknesses. He had prepared for every possibility. He was ready. He thought. The first human he encountered was an old woman. Her name was Elena. She was standing in a field. She was holding a tray. On the tray was a teapot and 2 cups. She was smiling. "Welcome," she said. "You must be tired. Would you like some tea?" The commander was confused. This was not in his plan. He had prepared for weapons. For soldiers. For resistance. He had not prepared for tea. He did not know what to do. "I am here to conquer your planet," he said. Elena nodded. "I know. But you are also tired. And hungry. And far from home. Would you like some tea?" The commander stared. His training told him to refuse. His pride told him to walk away. But the tea smelled good. Warm. Sweet. Like something he had not smelled in years. Like home. He took the cup. He drank. The tea was good. The second human he encountered was a young man. His name was Kale. He was sitting on a rock. He was playing a guitar. He was singing a song. A sad song. A beautiful song. The commander was confused. "Why are you singing?" he asked. "I have come to destroy your planet." Kale shrugged. "Because singing feels right. Would you like to join me?" The commander did not join. But he listened. The song made him feel strange. Sad. Hopeful. Human. He had not felt human in centuries. The third human he encountered was a child. She was crying. Her name was Lily. She was holding a stuffed animal. The commander knelt beside her. "Why are you crying?" he asked. "Because I am scared," she said. "Are you going to hurt us?" The commander looked at her. Her eyes were wide. Her tears were real. He had never seen fear like this. Not fear of battle. Fear of loss. Fear of pain. Fear of death. "No," he said. "I will not hurt you." He did not know why he said it. It was not in his plan. It was not in his orders. It just felt right. The Vorthan soldiers watched. They were confused. Their commander was drinking tea. Listening to songs. Comforting children. This was not war. This was something else. The soldiers began to question. "Why are we fighting people who offer us tea?" they asked. "Why are we destroying people who sing sad songs? Why are we hurting people who cry?" The commanders had no answers. Their plans could not account for tea. For songs. For tears. For laughter. For kindness. For love. Their plans were perfect. But humans were not in their plans. Humans were not predictable. Humans were not logical. Humans were not strategic. Humans were human. The Vorthan could not adapt. Their strategies were designed for enemies who followed rules. For enemies who fought with weapons. For enemies who feared death. Humans followed no rules. Humans fought with bread. Humans did not fear death. They feared losing each other. They feared being alone. They feared forgetting to be kind. The Vorthan lost. Not because humans were stronger. Because humans were unpredictable. Because humans followed vibes. And vibes, the Vorthan learned, were impossible to predict. The war lasted less than a month. The Vorthan surrendered. Not because they were defeated. Because they were confused. Because they were tired. Because they were hungry. Because they were far from home. Because the humans had offered them tea. Because the humans had sung them songs. Because the humans had cried with them. Because the humans had laughed with them. Because the humans had been kind. And the Vorthan did not know how to fight kindness. They had no plan for love. No strategy for compassion. No backup for humanity. So they surrendered. The council was stunned. "How did you win?" they asked. "You had no plan. No strategy. No backup. No weapons. No soldiers. How did you win?" A human woman looked at them. Her name was Elena. She was old. Her hair was white. Her hands were rough. Her eyes were kind. "We followed our feelings," she said. "We baked bread because it felt right. We offered tea because it felt right. We cried because it felt right. We laughed because it felt right. We were kind because it felt right. That is our plan. That is our strategy. That is our backup. That is our weapon. That is our soldier. That is how we win. Not by fighting. By feeling. Not by planning. By vibing. Not by conquering, by loving. And love, we have learned, is the most powerful force in the universe. Not because it is strong, because it is unpredictable, because it is illogical, because it is human. And the Vorthen had no plan for love. So they lost. The council was silent. They had never considered love as a weapon. They had never considered feelings as tactics. But the evidence was before them. The humans had won. No plan, no strategy, no backup, just vibes. And the galaxy would never be the same. It was the beginning of something new. Something strange. Something human. Something that felt right. Something that was right. Something that worked. Something called vibes. And the council was just beginning to learn what vibes were. It would take time. And that, the council finally understood, was the most important plan of all. The plan to feel. The plan to trust. That was the war. And the humans had won. Not with weapons. With vibes. And the galaxy would never be the same. It was the beginning of a new way. The human way. The vibe way. The way that worked. The way that won. The way that felt right. And that was enough. That was everything. That was human. The council demanded an explanation. They had seen the test where humans saved everyone with no plan. They had seen the war where humans defeated the Vorthen with no strategy. Vibes made no sense. Vibes were not logical or scientific. But vibes worked. The council needed to know why. They called a human scientist, Dr. Maya Chen. She was young with bright eyes and a calm voice. She stood before representatives from 100 species in a silent room. You have seen the evidence, the council president said. Humans follow feelings instead of plans, vibes instead of strategies, instincts instead of analysis. Explain. Dr. Chen nodded. Vibes are not random, chaos, or luck. They are our subconscious processing information faster than our conscious mind. The council was confused. Subconscious, asked a Xylo scientist. Your conscious mind is slow. It processes information one piece at a time. It analyzes, calculates, and reasons. It solves problems with clear rules. But life has no clear rules. Life is messy, fast, and unpredictable. Your conscious mind cannot keep up. The Xylo scientist said, that is why we have computers that process faster than any conscious mind. Dr. Chen shook her head. Computers are fast but limited. They only process what they are programmed to process. They cannot process feelings, intuition, or vibes. Humans have a subconscious that works below our awareness. It processes every sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, experience, and memory. Millions of pieces of information every second. It finds patterns, makes connections, and learns. Then it sends us signals, feelings, gut instincts, vibes. The council was silent. When you have a vibe, you are not guessing. You are receiving a report from your subconscious that says, I have processed all the information, found a pattern, and have a recommendation. The report comes as a feeling, a pull, a sense of rightness or wrongness. You must trust and follow it. That is how humans survive and thrive. The council had never considered that feelings might be data, instinct might be intelligence, or vibes might be strategy. How do you know the feeling is right? Asked a Kritha general. How do you learn to trust your gut? Dr. Chen smiled. You learn by living. You make mistakes, trust wrong feelings, regret, learn, and try again. Over time, you learn to listen, trust, and feel. Our subconscious has learned for thousands of years. It has seen patterns we cannot name and learned lessons we cannot teach. When we follow a vibe, we follow centuries of experience. It is wisdom, very fast wisdom. The Vel Elder said, wisdom requires time and reflection. Instant wisdom is not wisdom, it is impulse. Dr. Chen shook her head. Instant wisdom is wisdom practiced so much it becomes automatic. A musician no longer reads notes, they feel the music. An athlete no longer thinks about movements, they feel the game. A mother no longer consults books, she feels what her child needs. Vibes are wisdom that has become instinct, knowledge that has become feeling, experience that has become automatic. You have seen the evidence, it works. The council had seen the test and the war. Vibes had succeeded where plans, strategies, analysis, patience, and adaptation failed. The council president asked, can vibes be learned? Can other species develop this ability? Dr. Chen nodded. It takes time, practice, and patience. You must learn to listen, quiet your conscious mind, and hear the whispers of your subconscious. You must learn to trust even when it makes no sense, when data says otherwise, and when logic says no. Follow the feeling. Learn from mistakes. It is not easy or fast, but it is possible. Humans have been doing it for thousands of years. You can learn too. The Orathai diplomat asked, "Our brains, evolution, and history are different. Can we still learn?" Dr. Chen smiled. "Your version of vibes will be different from ours, but you can learn to listen, trust, and feel. Every species has a subconscious, instincts, and feelings. You have learned to ignore, override, and replace them with logic, analysis, and plans. You can learn to listen again. It will be hard with mistakes, but you can learn." The council had spent millions of years perfecting logic, analysis, and plans. They had ignored instincts, suppressed feelings, and forgotten how to vibe. But humans had shown a different way that worked and felt right. "Teach us," the council president said. Dr. Chen nodded. "Not in a classroom with books or lectures. We will teach by being with you, sharing our vibes, and inviting you to share yours. We will bake bread, drink tea, sing songs, cry, laugh, and feel together. Slowly, you will learn to listen, trust, feel, and vibe. It will take time with mistakes, but you will learn and grow. You will become more human, not in body, but in heart. That is the most important thing. Not logic, analysis, or plans. Vibes, feelings, trust, love. That is how we survive, thrive, live, and are human." The galaxy was just beginning to learn the human way, the vibe way that works and feels right. It would take time with mistakes, but they would learn to trust and vibe. That was the most important plan, the plan to feel, to trust, and to be human. The council finally understood. It was the beginning of something new, strange, and human. Something that felt right, worked, and was called vibes. And that was enough. That was everything. That was the beginning. The council stopped demanding plans. For millions of years, every decision was analyzed, calculated, and predicted. That was the galaxy's way. But humans had shown something different. Vibes worked. Feelings could be trusted. Instinct was not chaos, it was fast, deep wisdom. The council started asking humans, "What does your gut say?" Humans told them. The council followed. Results were better than any plan. A war was about to start between two species arguing for centuries. Every plan and negotiation failed. The council asked a human. She closed her eyes, listened to her feelings, and remembered her grandmother. Invite them to dinner. Bake bread, make tea, ask about families. Do not talk about war. Just be with them and share a meal. The council was confused. That is not a plan. That is dinner. The human shrugged. It is a vibe. Trust it. They invited the leaders to dinner. They baked bread, made tea, and asked about families. They did not talk about war. The leaders cried, laughed, and remembered why they had once been friends. War was avoided, not by a plan, but by dinner. A comet was heading toward a planet. Every calculation failed. The comet could not be stopped. The council asked a human. He closed his eyes and remembered his father. Evacuate the planet, not with ships, but with stories. Tell people to take what matters, photos, letters, seeds, songs. That is what will save them. The council was confused. That is poetry, not a strategy. The human shrugged. It is a vibe. Trust it. They evacuated the planet with stories. People took photos, letters, seeds, and songs. They left things behind but saved memories. The comet hit and destroyed the planet, but the people survived. Not because of a plan, but because of a story. Two species fought over resources. Every negotiation failed. The council asked a human. She closed her eyes and remembered her mother. Share the resources generously. Give more than you take. Ask for nothing in return. Trust the other side will do the same. The council was confused. That is foolishness. The human shrugged. It is a vibe. Trust it. They shared generously, gave more than they took, and asked for nothing. The other side did the same. Fighting stopped, not because of a plan, but because of generosity. The galaxy learned a new way. Plans still had their place, but they were not enough. They needed vibes, feelings, and trust. The final scene shows the council headquarters with a new plaque. The old gold plaques are gone. A simple wooden plaque reads, "No strategy. No backup. Just vibes. It works." A young Orathai alien stands before the plaque. She turns to an old Vel Council member who was there when the council first laughed at human vibes. "What is a vibe?" she asks. He smiles, remembering the first time he asked a human for their feeling. "It is a feeling. It makes no sense, but it works. Trust it." She walks into the council chamber. Representatives discuss a difficult problem. Plans are failing. The council turns to her. "What does your gut say?" She closes her eyes and listens. She remembers her grandmother, who learned from humans to be kind, patient, and trusting. "We bake bread, make tea, and ask about families. Do not try to solve the problem. Just be with each other, share a meal, and listen. The solution will come from our hearts, not our heads. Trust." The council is silent. The old ways demanded plans and strategies. The new way trusts vibes. "Let us bake bread," the council president says. They bake bread, make tea, and ask about families. They do not try to solve the problem. They just share a meal and listen. The solution comes, not from logic, but from love. The problem is solved. The galaxy continues. Not because of plans, but because of vibes. Not because of strategies, but because of trust. Not because of logic, but because of love. That is the new way. The human way. The vibe way. It works. It feels right. The galaxy would never be the same. It became better, kinder, more connected, and more trusting. The council finally understood the most important lesson, not from a book, but from a feeling. Not from a lecture, but from a vibe. Not from a scientist, but from a human. And that was enough. That was everything. Vibes worked. Not because they were logical, but because they were human. And human, the galaxy learned, was the most powerful force, not because it was strong, but because it was kind. Not because it was smart, but because it was trusting. Real. Enough. Everything. The new way. And it worked. It always would. Because humans followed vibes. And vibes were never wrong. Not because they were perfect, but because they were human. And human was enough. Was everything. Was the new way. And it worked.